once again to another fun-filled discussion for the subject reading and writing. And as we always say, go, go, go for learning! In the past week, we've learned about different forms of writing, such as project proposals and resumes and other technical reports. But now, our focus is all about employment application letter, which is geared towards for a better employment. Come on! And this will be the focus of our discussion for today. Writing an employment application letter for a better employment. And this will be our flow of discussion. First, the objectives, what we aim to learn. Second, the pre-test and motivation activity, where we check your prior knowledge about the topic. Third, the discussion part, where you will learn the essentials in writing an application letter for employment. And lastly, activities and the post-test, where we apply and assess what we have learned about our discussion. And this part is now the objectives of the lesson, what we aim to learn. The main objective of this topic is based on the most essential learning competency. Identify the unique features of and requirements in composing texts that are useful across discipline. Focusing on application letter for employment. And here are our specific objectives. First, familiarize the different formats of an application letter for employment. Second, recognize the different parts of an application letter for employment. Third, realize the value of honesty in writing an application letter for employment. And fourth, create an application letter for employment. I know that you are all excited for this new topic, but please hold your horses. Before we dig deeper into this treasure trove of knowledge, let us have our pre-test so that we can check your prior knowledge about the topic. Directions. Choose your answer by writing the letter of your choice on your answer sheet. You have 5 minutes to answer the pre-test. Question number 1. Which of the following parts of application letter for employment includes your name, physical address, phone number, and email address? Which of the following parts of application letter includes your name, physical address, phone number, and email address? A. Closing. B. Heading. C. Inside address. D. Salutation. Again, A. Closing. B. Heading. C. Inside address. D. Salutation. Number 2. In what part of the application letter which contains the following information below? Hareth L. Farsa, Chief Executive Officer, Manian Empire Group of Companies, Land of Dawn, Philippines. I repeat, in what part of the application letter which contains the following information below? Hareth L. Farsa, Chief Executive Officer, Manian Group of Companies, Land of Dawn, Philippines. A. Closing. B. Heading. C. Inside address. D. Salutation. I repeat, A. Closing. B. Heading. C. Inside address. D. Salutation. Number 3. Which part of the application letter contains the following details? Outline where you saw the job posting and express your interest in working in this role. Discuss some of your qualifications that would make you a good fit for the job. Which part of the application letter contains the following details? Outline where you saw the job posting and express your interest in working in this role. Discuss some of your qualifications that would make you a good fit for the job. A. Closing. B. Body. C. Inside address. D. Signature. A. Closing. B. Body. C. Inside address. D. Signature. Number 4. In which paragraph in the body of an application letter for employment where the job applicant highlights one or two of his or her skills that are relevant to the job that can benefit the company in the long run? I repeat, in which part in the body of an application letter for employment where the job applicant highlights one or two of his or her skills that are relevant to the job that can benefit the company in the long run? A. First paragraph. D. Second paragraph. C. Third paragraph. And D. Fourth paragraph. A. First paragraph. B. Second paragraph. C. Third paragraph. D. Fourth paragraph. Question number 5. The following except 1 are tips in writing an effective application letter for employment. The following except 1 are tips on writing an effective application letter for employment. A. Revise and proofread your letter. B. Write only the position of the person in charge for hiring. C. Compose brief and concise paragraphs in the body of the letter. D. Write about your strengths in the letter and not your weaknesses. I repeat. A. Revise and proofread your letter. B. Write only the position of the person in charge of hiring. C. Compose brief and concise paragraphs in the body of the letter. And D. Write about your strengths in the letter and not your weaknesses. Okay, now we will check your answers. Question number 1. Which of the following parts of application letter includes your name, physical address, phone number, and email address? And the correct answer is letter B, heading. Number 2. In what part of the application letter which contains the following information below? Harith L. Farsa, Chief Executive Officer, Munian Empire Group of Companies, Land of Dawn, Philippines. And the correct answer is inside address, letter C. Number 3. Which part of the application letter contains the following details? Outline where you saw the job posting and express your interest in working in this role. Discuss some of your qualifications that would make you a good fit for the job. And the correct answer is B, the body. Fourth question. In which paragraph in the body of an application letter for employment where the job applicant highlights one or two of his or her skills that are relevant to the job that can benefit the company in the long run? B, second paragraph. Question number 5. The following except 1 are tips on writing an effective application letter for employment? And the correct answer is B. Write only the position of the person in charge for hiring. Very good. Before we go to our discussion, let me ask you first these two questions. Have you ever thought seeking for a job after your graduation? What do you usually need to prepare to apply? And our discussion will basically answer the two questions that I am asking. The employment application letter. And now, we are at the part where we are going to discuss the essentials of writing an employment application letter, which is geared towards better employment in the future after you graduate. But what is an application letter for employment? An employment application letter is a one-page letter, also referred to as the job application letter or cover letter, attached to the resume when applying for jobs. The purpose of writing the employment application letter is to highlight the applicant's experiences and personal qualities for him to be considered for an interview schedule, as well as with the available job position. So basically, an application letter is just one page, not 2 pages. Second, it must be attached or it must come together with the resume. Okay? Because the application letter for employment will highlight your personal qualities or information that is not shown in your resume. Now, what are the parts of an employment application letter? What are the different components of an employment application letter? First is the heading. The heading is the part of the letter where you can see your name, the applicant's name, and address. The name of the applicant must be capitalized and in bold letters. Now, for example, here, the name of the applicant is Juan P. de la Cruz. So, it should be written in capital letters and in bold letters. Say, Juan P. de la Cruz, and followed by the address, Purok 1, San Jose, Bislig City, Surigao del Sur, 8311. In case you ask question, what does 8311 mean? 8311 is the zip code of Bislig City. Each town or municipality or city in the Philippines is given a 4-digit zip code. Okay? So that when we send letters or anything like that, we can easily determine where the letter comes from or the document comes from. Okay? 8311 is the zip code of Bislig City. The next part of an employment application letter is the date. The date, which is written below the heading, indicates when the letter was written. The format in writing the date is month, day, and year. Example, March 18, 2021. Now, if you've written your application letter today, May 19th, 2021, you should write May 19, 2021. Understand? Next to the date is the inside address. This refers to whom and to where the letter is addressed. The inside address includes the name of the employer or the human resource manager, his job title, name of the company, and the address. In case you ask, who is the human resource manager? It's usually the one or the person tasked to hire employees. Now, for example of an inside address, Lucas M. De Los Reyes, Human Resource Manager, Espiritu Street, St. Paul District, Mangagoy, Bislig City, Surigao del Sur, 8311. Notice that the name of the hiring personnel here, Lucas M. De Los Reyes, is also in bold and capital letters. Okay? The same for the name of the applicant, which is also in bold and capital letters. After the inside address is the greeting or the salutation. Greeting or salutation is written to indicate for whom the letter is. It should start with the word dear, followed by the last name of the receiver, and the salutation with a colon. Again, a column, not a comma. If the name has not been obtained, address it as ma'am or sir. Note that this should address the person concerned with the hiring process, either the human resource manager or the owner of the company or anyone that was tasked to hire employees. Example is, Dear Mr. De Los Reyes, if you know the person hiring, or Dear Ma'am, Sir, if you do not know the hiring personnel. After the greeting or the salutation is the body. The most important and critical part in writing the employment application letter is its body. It includes information on the job the applicant is applying for, where the job posting was seen, and the skills and experiences the applicant possesses that you possess. You can also highlight the reason for a career change if there is any. Note that the body of the letter contains information not seen in the applicant's resume, which is what we have learned earlier. In this example, the applicant clearly indicates the desired position, the source of information, the qualification and experiences, and if any, the reason for career shift. In the first paragraph, you'll want to mention the job you are applying for and where you saw the job listing. The next paragraphs are the most important part of your letter. Remember how you gathered all that information about what the employers were seeking and how you could meet their needs? This is where you'll share those relevant details on your experience and accomplishments. The third, and probably the last part in case you have a fourth paragraph of the body of the letter, will be your thank you to the employer. You can also offer follow-up information. For example, this is the first paragraph. I am writing to express my interest in the welder position posted at your shop last February 12, 2021. As per the qualification needed by your business, I consider myself as one of the qualified applicants for the said position. Notice that here it says the date when the applicant saw the posting and where the posting was seen and what position the applicant intends to apply for. Notice also that here on the second sentence of the first paragraph, he already puts an introductory part or introduction of himself as I consider myself as one of the qualified applicants for the said position, which will then be clarified or exemplified in the next paragraph, followed by, although I am a recent graduate of the senior high school level, my skills in welding are quite adept. I even have a national certification for showing exemplary skills and techniques in welding. So on this part, on the second paragraph of the body, notice that he highlights that he has a national certification and that his skills in welding are quite adept, even though he is a recent graduate of the senior high school level. Because you are still in the introductory or the entry level of the job application. How can you or why would you put an experience on your body if in the very first place you are a new graduate? That is why on this example, we can see that the applicant is honest. Okay? He is honest that he was a recent graduate from the senior high school level, but that he possesses skills that are quite adept when it comes to welding, that even has a national certification for his exemplary skills in welding. On the third paragraph, he says, I know that I do not have much experience in the industry, but I can assure you that I am an industrious worker and I will do my job excellently. Thank you for taking time in processing my job application papers, and I look forward to meet you at your earliest convenience. So you see, on the second part of this paragraph, here it says, thank you for taking time in processing my job application, and I look forward, meaning that the applicant is showing his willingness to go for an interview and even to be hired for the said position. Right? Now, the next part is the complementary clause. The complementary clause is done to politely finish the letter. Note that the complementary clause ends with a comma. For example, sincerely or yours truly. Now, this is a common mistake in the complementary clause, wherein yours is capitalized on the letter Y and truly is also capitalized on the letter T. That shouldn't be the case because only the first word on the complementary clause should be in capital letters. So in this case, yours truly or sincerely. Okay? Remember that only the first letter of the first word should be capitalized in the complementary clause. The last part of an employment application letter is the signature and your identification, the sender's identification. Okay? This is considered as the last part of the letter. Now, you have to write your name on the first line and your title, if applicable, on the second line. Then sign directly above the first line. In case you are confused, do not worry because we will have an example. Okay? Now, here, example. Juan P. de la Cruz. That's the name. Notice also that on the signature and the sender's identification part, the name of the person writing the letter or the applicant should be capitalized letters. It should be in bold letters. So in this case, Juan P. de la Cruz, and followed after it below is his title, which is applicant. Notice there is a note there that says with the signature on top. Meaning, in your application letter, it should always be signed. Remember that your application letter should be signed. Now that we have discussed the different parts of an employment application letter, we shall now discuss the different formats of an employment application letter. So what are the different formats? The format, including the content and the tone of the employment application letter, depends on the applicant's preference. Employment application letter or cover letter has three different formats: full block, modified block, and semi-block. The content in a cover letter are all the same and will vary on the format or on the placement of each part. If there is no required format, in case the company does not ask for a specific format to be used, it is recommended to write it in full block with 1-inch margin on all sides, single-spaced, and preferably using Times New Roman font and 12-font size. Remember, again, if there is no required format, it should be written in full block with 1-inch margin on all sides, single-spaced, and preferably using Times New Roman font and 12-point font size. The first format is the full block format. This is the most common layout used in writing your employment letter for application or your cover letter. In this format, all parts are justified to the left. For example, notice that for this letter example that we're using right now, that you're seeing right now, are the tidbits of the parts that we've used earlier, right? You can see the name, the date, the inside address, the salutation, the body, the complementary clause, and the last part, which is the signature and the sender's identification. Okay? Now here, although you can see it, but I have put there notes that there should be a 1-inch margin at the top, on the left side, on the right side, and on the bottom side as you write your application letter on your computers. Now here, Juan P. de la Cruz, Purok 1, San Jose, Bislig City, Surigao del Sur 8311. That is the heading, followed by the date it was written and the inside address. Notice that there is a note there that says single space after the heading is the date, another single space followed by the inside address. After the inside address, another single space to be followed by the greetings or the salutation. That is the same case for the body of the letter. There should at least be a single space between the paragraphs. After the last paragraph of the body of the letter, you can see that it is followed by the complementary clause. It says sincerely. Now, contrary to the other parts of the letter where it says only single space, okay? After the body of the letter, you can see there it is followed by the complementary clause. Now, contrary to the other parts of the letter where the note only says single space, after the complementary clause, it says double space. Okay? Because that is a space given for the signature of the applicant. Okay? Remember that it is double space because it is the space given for the signature of the applicant. The next format we are going to talk about is the modified block format. Another format used is the modified block format. Modified block is a type of format where the applicant's address, complementary clause, signature, and sender's identification is shifted to the right. Note that the first sentence in the body or in each paragraph is not indented, as shown in the given example. You can see that the heading, the date, the complementary clause, the signature, and the sender's identification are shifted to the right side. And the first sentences of the paragraphs of the body are also not indented. The next we are going to talk is the semi-block format. The least used format is the semi-block. It is almost the same as the modified block format. However, the difference is that the first sentence in each paragraph is indented. So basically, the difference is just the indentation on the body of the letter. This is the example for the semi-block format. You can see that the heading, the date, the complementary clause, the signature, and the sender's identification are shifted to the right, while the inside address, the greeting or salutation are still on the left side. This is where we can see the notice as well that the paragraphs, the body of the letter, are indented by at least 1 inch. Now, we have known the what's of writing an employment application letter. But what about the how's? How do we write an application letter for employment? So these are the tips on writing an application letter for employment. Now, despite familiarizing yourself with the different formats of an application letter for employment and recognizing its different parts, you may encounter issues when writing an application letter for employment. So here are tips which may help you in writing your application letter in the future. First, use the hiring manager's last name in the salutation. In case the information is not available or you are unsure of the gender of the manager or the hiring personnel, simply write "Dear Hiring Manager." Okay? You have to understand that many of those who are in the LGBTQ+ community no longer identify as a Mr. or a Miss or Mrs. Okay? They no longer identify themselves as simply as a he or she. That is why, if you are unsure, just write "Dear" and the title of the position that the hiring personnel holds. Compose brief and concise paragraphs in the body of the letter. Your body should not be convoluted, meaning it should not be too wordy. Okay? That is why it should be brief and concise. It should be direct to the point. Write about your strengths in the letter and not your weaknesses, such as your lack of experience or qualifications. The details should make the hiring officer think you are a strong candidate for the job. However, do not make exaggerated claims about your skills and experience. However, if you notice in our previous example, we wrote there, "Although I am a new graduate," or "I may not have that much of an experience," but that actually does not run contrary to this tip. Okay? Remember that when you write an application letter for employment, you should be honest. That is why, on your honesty, you must always follow through. Okay? You must put a follow-up wherein you highlight your strengths. That is why on our example previously given, we said, "Although I am a recent graduate of the senior high school level, I possess a national certificate for my exemplary skills and techniques in welding. Okay? So you should balance it and further highlight your skills, your experience, or your strengths. Write in formal language. Avoid colloquialism or words that are mostly used in informal or conversational speech. You have to make sure that you are writing formally. Revise and proofread your letter. So, you have to revise and proofread your letter to make sure it is clear, coherent, and free of any errors in grammar, spelling, capitalization, and punctuation. Okay? You have to make sure that what you have learned previously from grade 1 to grade 10 or even to grade 11 after you graduate, you have to remember to use your grammar, to use correct spelling, to use proper capitalization and punctuation. Okay? You have to be clear, coherent, and free of any errors in your application letter for employment. Do not forget to enclose or attach your resume if you are sending the cover letter with it. Okay? As we previously mentioned earlier, the cover letter should go hand in hand or together with the resume. And now, we have come to the part where we are going to apply what we have learned from the discussion about writing an employment application letter. In this part of the lesson, you will undergo activities that will help you develop your skills in writing an application letter for employment. Activity 1. Identify and label the parts of the letter. Write your answers on your answer sheet. You will be given 3 minutes for this activity. Very good. Now that you've done answering activity 1, where you recognize the different parts of the employment application letter, please go to your learning activity sheet, week 8A, page 10, for the answers key, so you can check it for yourself. And now, for activity 2, fill in the blanks. Using the block format, write an application letter using the given information by filling in the blank. Now, since some of you are digital modular distance learning learners, you have to use your tablets in answering this activity. And this will be your situation for activity 2. Prince Hotel, a hotel located in 23rd Street, Beachfront City, has just opened and posted vacancies in your local newspaper. Mr. John Hamora, the hotel owner, is in need of employees who may work as janitor, frontline desk officer, kitchen staff, mechanic, and hotel manager. You will write an application letter which is in the block format, choosing only one of the positions above addressed to the owner of the hotel. And this will be the blank letter where you are going to fill in the information that it asks for. Do not worry about checking it because I will be the one to check your outputs. Now, you will have 6 minutes only in answering this letter where you are going to fill in the information that it asks for. Your 6 minutes starts now. Very good. Now that you're done with activity 2, we shall go to activity 3, writing an application letter. Using the same information from activity 2, write your own application letter in full block format by following the guidelines and the parts mentioned. The application letter must be encoded using the Times New Roman font, 12 font size, in an A4 sized bond paper. For those who are unable to encode it, you may write it on a clean sheet of A4 bond paper, observing proper margin, and should be written legibly. Your output will be graded using the rubric that follows. For this activity, you shall be given 20 minutes to make your application letter for employment. Once again, make sure to observe the rubrics that we are going to use to grade your output. Do not worry. performing activities 2 and 3, you should have already gained by now the skills necessary for writing an effective employment application letter. You should have already applied proper grammar and the different techniques in writing an effective application letter for employment. And now, we have come to the last part of our topic for Reading and Writing Week 8A on writing an employment application letter, the assessment part. On this part, we will check how far you have learned when it comes to writing an employment application letter, when it comes to the essentials of writing an employment application letter. Okay, directions. Prepare your answer sheet, okay? Now, choose your answer by writing the letter of your choice on your answer sheet. You will be given 5 minutes to answer this assessment. Number 1. Which of the following should not feature in the final paragraph of an application letter? A. Why you are applying for the position. B. Your availability or interest in attending an interview. C. A statement thanking the reader for their time or consideration. D. A statement saying you look forward to hearing from the reader. Which of the following should not feature in the final paragraph of an application letter? A. Why you are applying for the position. B. Your availability or interest in attending an interview. C. A statement thanking the reader for their time or consideration. And D. A statement saying you look forward to hearing from the reader. Number 2. Which of the following should not be included in an application letter? A. Why you are applying for the position. B. Your interest in or knowledge of the organization. C. Details of problems you have had with employers in the past. D. Your skills or qualifications and experience that are relevant to the position applied for. Number 2 again. Which of the following should not be included in an application letter? A. Why you are applying for the position. B. Your interest in or knowledge of the organization. C. Details of problems you have had with employers in the past. And D. Your skills, qualifications, and experience that are relevant to the position applied for. Number 3. Which of the following is not a function of a cover letter? A. To show how well you write. B. To inform the employer of the job you are applying for. C. To entice the reader to want to get to know you better by interviewing you. D. To inform the reader of what you expect to get out of the job you are applying for. A. To show how well you write. B. To inform the employer of the job you are applying for. C. To entice the reader to want to get to know you better by interviewing you. D. To inform the reader of what you expect to get out of the job you are applying for. Number 4. Which of the following is not something that a cover letter writer should always do in his or her opening paragraph? I repeat, which of the following is not something that the cover letter writer should always do in his or her opening paragraph? A. Mention salary specifications. B. Inform on why he or she is writing. C. Impress the employer with knowledge of the company. D. Be specific about the position sought and what they can offer. A. Mention salary specifications. B. Inform on why he or she is writing. C. Impress the employer with knowledge of the company. D. Be specific about the position sought and what they can offer. Number 5. Suppose the cover letter has a 3-paragraph body. In which paragraph can you find the given text? The text reads, "This is to respond to your company's job post on jobs@ph.com, dated September 12 for the network engineer position. I would very much like to be considered for the position." I repeat, suppose the cover letter has a 3-paragraph body. In which paragraph can you find the text? This is to respond to your company's job post on jobs@ph.com, dated September 12 for the network engineer position. I would very much like to be considered for the position. A. First paragraph. B. Second paragraph. C. Third paragraph. D. Fourth paragraph. A. First paragraph. B. Second paragraph. C. Third paragraph. And D. Fourth paragraph. And now let us check your answers. Number 1. Which of the following should not feature in the final paragraph of an application letter? The correct answer is letter A, why you are applying for the position. Number 2. Which of the following should not be included in an application letter? And the correct answer is letter C, details of problems you have had with employers in the past. Number 3. Which of the following is not a function of a cover letter? Letter D, to inform the reader of what you expect to get out of the job you are applying for. Number 4. Which of the following is not something that a cover letter writer should always do in his or her opening paragraph? And the answer is letter A, mention salary specifications. Number 5. Suppose the cover letter has a 3-paragraph body. In which paragraph can you find the given text? The text reads, "This is to respond to your company's job post on jobs@ph.com, dated September 12 for the network engineer position. I would very much like to be considered for the position." And the answer is letter A, first paragraph. Okay. Thank you so much for going through with me in this discussion. I hope you have learned a lot, and I hope that whatever you have learned today, it will be planted in your heart and in your mind, and in the future, it will bear fruit, so that whenever you apply, you have an employment application letter that will make your employer to be astounded. Before we end this discussion, let me leave you this quote from Thomas Friedman. He is a columnist, a great speaker, and a book writer on employment, on jobs. Whatever you may be thinking when you apply for a job today, you can be sure the employer is asking this. Can this person add value every hour, every day, more than a worker in India, a robot, or a computer? Can he or she help my company adapt by not only doing the job today, but also reinventing the job for tomorrow? Once again, this is Teacher Ting, and I hope you will have a great week ahead. Thank you, and sulig best day.